What if I told you the key to waking a man from an 8-month coma wasn't found in a high-tech hospital, but in your kitchen spice rack? In 1938, a man was brought to Edgar Cayce, a complete shell, trapped in what doctors called a vegetative state after a brutal car accident. All medical options had been exhausted. Cayce's prescription: a series of baths with a specific kind of salt, blessed with specific prayers, timed to the cycles of the moon. 7 days later, that man opened his eyes and spoke. But the real secret isn't just that the salt worked, it's how it worked, and what that reveals about a divine technology hidden inside your own body. This isn't just about seasoning, it's about a substance ancient cultures revered as a direct line to spiritual consciousness. Over the next 25 minutes, you will learn why the Bible mentions salt not as a metaphor, but as a spiritual tool, how your very biology uses salt for psychic communication, and the exact methods Cayce taught that allowed thousands to heal their lives and unlock dormant spiritual gifts. If you are ready to reclaim a power that has been intentionally obscured for centuries, click that subscribe button now, because what you're about to hear could fundamentally rewrite your spiritual story. It was a 1934 trance reading that sent shockwaves through Edgar Cayce's closest circle. The question came from a woman whose blood disorder was deemed incurable by medical science. Cayce, in his deep trance state, didn't talk about medicine, he talked about salt. He declared that salt, as we know it, is a profound misunderstanding. To the source speaking through him, salt was a vibrational tuning fork for the soul, a physical mineral carrying the encoded resonance of creation's first moments. But this is where the story takes an unbelievable turn. Cayce explained that every crystal of salt holds encoded resonance patterns that mirror the frequency of enlightened consciousness. When this salt is dissolved in water, particularly water that has been blessed with intention, it doesn't just disappear. It opens a measurable energetic doorway between your physical body and the spiritual blueprint of your soul. He told the woman to dissolve pure sea salt in blessed water, drinking it while holding specific intentions he provided. In 6 weeks, her blood tests came back completely normal. Her doctors, dumbfounded, labeled it a miracle. Cayce knew it was spiritual science. Here's the bombshell from one of Cayce's most intense readings, his explanation for why salt appears over 30 times in the Bible. And it has nothing to do with what you learned in Sunday school. During one session, Cayce's stenographer sat in stunned silence as he explained that Jesus' famous declaration, "You are the salt of the earth," was not a poetic compliment. It was a technical instruction. According to Cayce's source, salt acted as a grounding rod for higher consciousness. It was the physical element that enabled advanced souls, the disciples included, to anchor their expanded awareness within the dense vibration of a human body, preventing what he called spiritual drift. The reading specified that the crystalline lattice of salt is a perfect geometric mirror of the patterns in the Akashic records, the universal database of all soul experiences. Therefore, when you mindfully consume salt, you are not just tasting a mineral. You are ingesting solidified memory, activating your soul's recollection of its divine origin and purpose for this life. This redefines everything we think about prayer and consciousness. In the ARE files, there are dozens of documented cases, like the man from Kentucky who, using a specific salt meditation, vividly recalled details from 17 of his past lives in just 3 months. This knowledge reshaped his entire present, healing relationships and clarifying his life's work. But this gets even more personal. In just a few moments, I'm going to share the case that left Cayce's own team profoundly shaken. Cayce taught that your body operates on what he called bio-spiritual circuits maintained by salt. These are not just metabolic pathways, they are your biological antennas for receiving divine intelligence. There's a reason profound emotional release comes with salty tears. It's not just a chemical reaction. Your tears are a sacred spiritual solvent, carrying the highest concentration of divinely attuned salt in your body, clearing energetic blockages with every drop. Your brain is suspended in cerebrospinal fluid, whose precise salt balance is non-negotiable for what Casey termed soul to brain transmission. When that balance is off through a poor diet or, more importantly, a lack of spiritual intent, people experience soul static. That pervasive modern feeling of being unplugged, aimless, and spiritually empty that millions feel every single day. Now for the case that left everyone speechless. A woman from Oklahoma, having spent her family's savings on failed medical treatments, brought her husband to Casey in 1938. He'd been in a coma for 8 months, unresponsive. The doctors had sent him home. Casey's reading was radical. It required sea salt from a specific global region, specific blessings, and baths timed with the lunar calendar. He explained the man's soul was no longer tethered correctly to his body, and this intentional salt protocol would act like a spiritual magnet, pulling his consciousness back into its physical home. The family, though skeptical, was desperate. They followed every detail. On the 7th day, the man opened his eyes and whispered his wife's name. Within 3 weeks, he was walking, his mind mostly restored. The doctors had no file for what they saw. But wait, there is a truth in this healing that is happening inside your cells right now. Casey made it clear that this man's awakening was not simply a physical cure. It was confirmation that salt is a conduit between dimensions. The salt didn't just reboot his neural pathways, it re-anchored his soul to his body. This insight is a game changer for anyone battling depression, anxiety, or a sense of spiritual abandonment. Your body already produces salt. But Casey's readings distinguished between common biological salt and spiritually conscious salt. Salt that is elevated in vibration through intentional prayer and positive thought. This is why the salt in tears of joy has a different healing frequency than the salt in tears of grief. Your body's most basic mineral is constantly responding to the state of your soul. Here is what Edgar Casey knew about salt that modern physics is only now starting to confirm. In his readings from the 1940s, Casey stated that salt crystals are memory banks. They have the capacity to store, hold, and transmit vibrational data, a concept that predates our understanding of silicon chips by decades. When you hold salt and pray over it, you are literally programming it. You are imprinting it with a frequency of intention that your body can then read and use for healing and guidance. The physical evidence is all around us. Ancient cultures instinctively knew this. From the sacred salt covenants mentioned in the Dead Sea Scrolls, to Himalayan salt mines containing mineral signatures geologists can't explain, to Native American salt rituals that perfectly mirror the techniques Casey described from his trance state, humanity has always known salt was a key to the divine. Consider one of his most thoroughly documented cases. A young woman suffering from what we now call severe PTSD after a horrific experience in World War II. She was on the verge of being institutionalized. Casey prescribed a protocol. She was to dissolve blessed salt in her drinking water and take daily salt baths, all while holding a specific prayerful focus. The change, witnessed by many, was staggering. Within 6 weeks, the nightmares ceased. The panic attacks vanished. She reported feeling spiritually rinsed, a clarity she hadn't felt since before the trauma. She said the salt saved her life and later used the same methods to help fellow survivors. This points to a critical function of salt. Casey's source called the energetic imprint of trauma, soul debris. This is dense, heavy energy that clouds your connection to your higher self. Salt, activated with clear spiritual intent, functions as a powerful energetic purifier, dissolving this residue and allowing your soul's true light to shine through again. So, how can we, in our busy modern lives, use this ancient power? Casey offered incredibly practical methods. He taught a simple technique to charge salt with your spirit. Simply hold pure sea salt or Himalayan salt in your hands. As you pray or meditate, you are doing more than just thinking positive thoughts. You are instructing it. You are writing your divine intention onto its crystalline memory. You visualize divine light pouring through you into the crystals, asking that this sacred substance serve your highest purpose. This charged salt can then be used in your food, in your bath, or a small amount carried with you for spiritual clarity and protection. A New York businessman, after learning of this, began charging salt during his morning meditation, adding a pinch to his coffee and meals. In 3 months, he reported his business intuition became razor sharp. His prayers felt deeper, and he felt what he called a constant, quiet awareness of divine partnership in his life. But there is a technique even more powerful, one that Casey said could directly access past life information and your core soul purpose. In readings, he detailed a method called salt scrying. This isn't fortune telling, it's a form of spiritual inquiry. The technique involves slowly dissolving blessed salt in a bowl of pure spring water while you hold a specific question in your mind about your career, a relationship, or your mission in this life. As the salt dissolves, you enter a meditative state and pay attention to the images, feelings, or direct knowing that surfaces. Casey explained that the dissolving salt creates what he called a vibrational conduit to the Akashic records, effectively creating a liquid oracle through which your soul can access its own history and blueprint. A schoolteacher in California documented her work with this for 6 months. Her journals, now in the ARE archives, log astonishingly clear guidance that led to a career change, healed a key relationship, and ultimately put her on a path she described as finally living my authentic soul's mission. This connects to a profound reinterpretation of biblical events that most have never considered. Casey revealed the Bible's references to salt were not just stories, but a form of encoded spiritual physics. When Lot's wife turned into a pillar of salt, Casey explained it wasn't a punishment, but a transformation based on vibrational law. Her consciousness became so fixated on the lower frequencies of the world she was leaving behind that she literally crystallized. She became the very substance known for purification and preservation. The salt pillar, then, isn't a warning about disobedience. It's a stark parable of the choice every soul makes: remain locked into a lower frequency, or be an agent of transformation for divine will. This insight turns the biblical text from a history book into an instruction manual for spiritual evolution. What does all of this mean for you today on your spiritual path? Your relationship with this simple mineral is a mirror for your relationship with spiritual reality. When you consciously bless the salt you eat, acknowledging it as a sacred tool, you are aligning with an ancient power grid that amplifies your growth and connects you to cosmic intelligence. Casey also taught that different salts have different energetic specialties. Sea salt is tuned to emotional healing and enhances psychic sensitivity. Himalayan salt helps ground your spiritual energy into your physical body for greater vitality. Ancient rock salt, he said, holds time wisdom, allowing access to the knowledge of past spiritual ages. A nurse inspired by Casey's work began to quietly bless the saline solutions used in her patients' IV drips. She documented that those patients often had more positive outlooks and calmer spirits. Meanwhile, her own spiritual insight deepened profoundly over 18 months of this simple, consistent practice. And now for the most staggering revelation, a truth about your own body's design. A 1944 reading from Casey stated that your body's internal salt balance is a primary regulator of your ability to receive clear divine guidance. He said that when you are correctly mineralized with salt that has been consciously blessed, your entire cellular network becomes a more efficient receiver for divine downloads, direct transmissions of insight, healing, and guidance from higher consciousness. This is precisely why so many of Casey's readings for those seeking to enhance their psychic gifts or deepen their connection to God included specific salt protocols. The salt literally tunes the physical instrument to better receive and transmit spiritual broadcasts. Modern science, in its study of neural conductivity, unwittingly validates Casey's mystic insight. Your entire nervous system is a saltwater-based electrical system. Optimal brain function depends on it. What science calls electrochemical signals, Casey identified as the physical medium for spiritual consciousness decades prior. A meditation guide in Colorado began to incorporate Casey's salt techniques into her workshops. The results were astounding. Students reported meditative states of unprecedented depth, clear intuitive hits, and for several, what they described as full-blown spiritual initiations during salt-focused meditations, forever changing their understanding of who they were and why they were here. This brings it all back to you. Your spiritual awakening can begin today with simple, profound actions. Start your morning by holding your salt, be it for your food or your bath, and simply state your intention for it to support your highest good. Throughout your day, see it not as a chemical, but as a conscious ally. Once a week, create a sacred salt bath ritual. Use sea salt or Himalayan salt, and as you pour it in, pour your prayers and intentions in with it. Casey taught this practice purges not just physical toxins, but the soul debris we all accumulate, making space for clarity to enter. When you face a critical decision, try the salt scrying technique. Dissolve blessed salt in a bowl of water, hold your question, and listen with your soul as it dissolves. The thousands of documented cases in Casey's files are not just stories. They are proof. Salt is a spiritual technology for awakening. It's a tool for divine connection, here to support your soul's purpose. But there is one final thing you must understand to make this work in your own life. Consistency is more important than intensity. Start simply. A daily blessing of your salt is a powerful first step. Introduce the other techniques only as you feel genuinely called to do so. Casey always stressed that spiritual work must be authentic to your soul's own timing, never forced. Keep a journal of your experiences. Tracking the subtle shifts, the insights, the synchronicities is how you build undeniable proof for yourself. Many of Casey's most miraculous cases started with a tiny, consistent practice that blossomed into a life-changing breakthrough. And connect with others who are exploring this path. The wisdom Casey brought forth isn't a new age trend. It's an ancient science he was uniquely able to access and articulate for our time. Its power has been tested and proven across decades of meticulous documentation. When you choose to work with salt consciously, you are not just trying a new technique. You are stepping into a lineage of souls who have used this sacred mineral for healing and awakening for millennia. You are participating in your own spiritual evolution. The very salt in your blood, in your cells. It carries the crystallized memory of your soul's epic journey. By bringing your conscious intention to it, you are unlocking that memory and inviting it to guide you home to your highest self. As you begin, stay open. Be prepared for transformation. Casey's work is a testament to the fact that when we align ourselves with the simple, powerful, natural spiritual tools the universe provides, our growth can accelerate in ways we can barely imagine. Your spiritual path is yours alone, but the principles of salt's sacred power are universal. They apply to every soul seeking a truer, deeper connection to the divine. If this knowledge has unlocked something within you, make sure you are subscribed and have hit that notification bell, because the wisdom from Edgar Casey's legacy runs deep, and you won't want to miss what's next. Share this with anyone you feel is ready to hear that the greatest spiritual tools are not on a faraway mountain, but are often hidden in plain sight, waiting for us to remember. The universe has given you a simple key. Your willingness to use it is the only thing standing between you and the next level of your own magnificent awakening.